gamers, today on Dice and Dragons we have an advanced copy of a game. We were at New York Comic Con 2018 and Renegade Game Studios had flown in some of Ghostbusters the card game. So this is going to be our special Halloween release video. Don't worry, we will still have a regular release coming out the following day if I'm not mistaken.
As in tomorrow?
As in tomorrow? Yes, exactly. So now I'll toss it over to Julie, who will tell you more about this card game.
So it's a competitive game. It's not a big versus game, but there is still a winner and loser or losers, depending if you're playing the 2 or multiplayer variety. You can play from 2 players up to 5 players, and it's for ages 8 and above. Plays in about 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, there's also a 2-player variant. Now, I don't know if I'll talk about it during the how to play. I might just mention it quickly, but we're definitely not going to teach you anything about it. It's very simple and straightforward, but the reason we're talking about it now is because 2-player variant probably makes the game take, what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Per round. I think it's probably...
Not even per round. It's like 5 minutes per round.
Yeah, so it's probably a 15-minute game. Yeah. In any case. The objective of the game, basically, is played in 3 rounds, right? And the objective is to score the most number of points. The cards each have different values. There's different series. There's different things all explained in the rulebook.
Yeah, so what you're trying to do is you've got a nice circle of ghosts. You are a Ghostbuster. You move the trap card around the circle, trying to capture as many ghosts as possible. Now, how are you going to do that? Well, stay tuned to our how to play, and we'll teach you how to play the game. Now, we're going to grab our drinks, grab our best friend, or grab our best Ghostbuster.
And we're going to take it to the table.
Now let's take it to the table. I'm going to bust those ghosts.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Now we're going to take a look at the components that you get in Ghostbusters, the card game. So for those of you that have seen our Codenames Harry Potter review, I'm going to be reviewing the components in much the same way. We've got pretty much everything that you're going to get in the box out on the board. Actually, that is everything. We just don't have everything out on display. And because there are only cards, as you can see, I'll be explaining what the cards do as we review the components. With that being said, let's get started. We're going to start with the cards that we have right here. Except for these Ghostbuster cards, there are some good examples of the ones that we have right here, and I will explain them when we get to that point. So let's start with the Ghost Trap card and the Direction card. Now these are the 2 things that you're really going to be using to determine how you move the trap. This will tell you if you're going clockwise or counterclockwise. And then the trap will be moving around a circle of ghosts. And then once it stops, that'll be how you trap the ghost. And before I forget, we've got the turn structure and the quick scorecard right here. And as we're going through all this stuff right here, we've got the rule book, which is, as you can see, just a nice, simple fold out. It's a very easy and family-friendly game. So we've taken a look at those components. Let's now talk about the ghost cards themselves. So in this section here, we have the ghost cards. Now you notice that the green cards are slimed. Now slime can be a negative for you unless you happen to get Slimer. As you can see, he can turn those slimed ghosts into a positive. You may also have slime ghosts that are not green. You can tell by the sliming of their symbol up there. Now the interesting thing about these green ones, the one marked number 5, is that some of them have special abilities that trigger when you happen to capture the ghost. Next, we've got the equipment cards. Now the equipment cards are only 3 different types of equipment, but they can score very nicely. As you can see, they score at 2, 6, and 12 for 1, 2, and 3. Meaning 1 equipment is worth 2, 2, 6, 3 is worth 12 points. Next, we've got these pink ghosts, the one that are at the value level of 6, and I'll explain that shortly. So what we have right here is that you get an ability that you're able to use once per game round. So for example, for this one, it's when moving the ghost trap with an action card, go the opposite direction. So you can move clockwise instead of counterclockwise and vice versa. So we've now talked a bit about those ghost cards that we have with special abilities. Let's take a look at the more regular ghost cards and we'll talk about how they score. So here we've got 7, as you can see, ghost cards. And I've taken out most of the regular ones. The only one that has a special ability here is the 6 because all of them do have special abilities. But you notice that they're marked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now they have their point value at the top corner. And as you notice, the 5 ones that are worth like the most, they really don't have any special abilities. They just really give you those 5 points. Now the reason why this sequence 1 through 7 is important, the longer a sequence of this that you can chain together, the more points you can score. There are also the set bonuses for the ghosts. So the more of these that you get, you will also get a bonus at the end of the game. You also have your scorecard here if you need any help. And the scorecard is double-sided. Now we've taken a look at the ghosts. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Ghostbuster cards, the cards you're going to be using to move the trap, to catch the ghost and become the best Ghostbuster on the team. So we've got our Ghostbuster cards right here. Now I haven't taken all of them out. We've got a nice stack of them right there. And for those of you that didn't notice, I should have mentioned it right away. We've got our stack of ghost cards right here so you can see the back of them. And I do really like that we've got the Ghostbuster symbol. So these cards let you control the trap card. So for example, with Dr. Peter Venkman, you may move the ghost trap 1 card counterclockwise. So counterclockwise means you're going to be going counter to the direction that is displayed here on this card. And as you can, there are certain cards that will let you flip this over. So very much pay attention to the way this card is directing the circle. So we've taken a quick look at the Ghostbuster cards that I've had on the table, but I want to take a closer look at some of the really powerful ones and also just talk a little bit more about it. It's very straightforward how they play, and then we'll talk a little bit more about how you play the game, how many you're allowed to play when we get into the how to play portion of this video. Now, here we have some of the more powerful Ghostbuster cards. So I'm just going to take them one by one. Now this one is just a little more standard. I wanted to have one of them. So as you can see, you can move the ghost trap 3 cards counterclockwise. So that's one of the things that you can do with Peter Venkman. Now as you'll notice, like Peter Venkman, as you can see just from those cards there, are all fairly much moving the ghost trap around. I believe it's the same thing for Ray Stans, whereas Egon and Winston might have some different abilities. So I'm just going to put this card aside here and we'll take the next one. So perfect. We've got Egon. So the neat thing about this, you may swap the position of any 2 cards in the circle, which can let you score some points if you can't get to, say, the 5-point card or, you know, that 6 or 5 that you need in sequence. There are also some really cool ones like this, like capture a card that is adjacent to the ghost trap, that should let you potentially capture 2 cards, and that'll make sense when we talk about the how to play. And then we also have this one right here, lets you capture the top card of the ghost deck, meaning you can capture, you know, the top card right there. It's great. That'd be great to pull, just some equipment. And then last but not least, we've got the Winston Zedmore card. Move the ghost trap to any 5-value ghost in the circle, letting you score some big points with 1 card. Now, we've gone over the components. You guys should be having a quick idea of how the game plays. Now we're going to get into how you set up the game and how you play the game. So keep it right here, and we're going to try to bust these ghosts faster than it took the guys in Ghostbusters 2, because I really don't have to move the Statue of Liberty to save the day. Now we're going to teach you how to set up Ghostbusters, the card game. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to place your direction marker, which is going to tell you the direction of play, which way the trap is going to be moving around the circle. So it will either be moving clockwise, or when it's flipped in this direction, which can happen from another card, the direction of play will be counterclockwise. Now please note, this will not affect your cards. So for example, this works very well. We've got Janine, which would let you flip the direction of play, but counterclockwise or clockwise will always be what is listed on these cards. Now, I'm just going to put these back at the top, and let's continue with the setup. So with regards to setting up, we're going to need quite a bit of room around our direction marker here. So I'm just going to take the trap card and move it off to the side. For those of you that are wondering the turn structure, I've kept the turn structure card here. There's also a nice cheat sheet on the back that will tell you the values and what you are going for. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the ghost deck and we're going to deal out 12 cards around the direction marker. So I'm going to do that the best as I possibly can. Get everything a little crammed in there. So do it like a nice flower. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we'll just cram everything in. We're going to have a little bit of overlap. Only way I can give you guys this nice view without having like a wide shot. 12. So here we go. Now the ghost deck you're not really going to need unless you get certain cards that will make you draw from it. So for the purposes of the game, I'm just going to have it up top over there and out of the play area. So we have got our 12 cards. Let's double check. Perfect. Then what we need to do is we need to take, I'm going to shuffle these. Same thing with the ghost deck, you definitely want to shuffle them up, but I'm going to shuffle them because we already saw the top 2 cards. And then you're going to deal out 3 cards. So these will be player 1's cards, and I'll deal out 3 cards that will represent player 2, and we'll keep them right here, and we will get this off to the side. So we have now set up the game. The last thing we need to do is set the ghost trap, which starts at the 12 o'clock position. Now, if you had more space, ideally, you know, the trap is going to be moving around, but until we can shrink down the space because we've got such a good close-up view, oh, it actually does work, just a little bit off camera there. We'll start it as close as I can to the top part of our circle. And that's how you set up the game. Next, we're going to get into how you play. Now, I've just tightened things up a little bit. We've moved the turn marker just a little bit more out of the way next to the ghost cards and brought the Ghostbuster cards within reach. So this is how you play the game. And just so you know, even though I'm doing it as 2 players, we've got 2 sets of cards here, I will be playing the regular way. I will take a quick look at the 2-player variant though. Now what you need to do on your turn, you have a couple of different things. You can A, discard a card to draw another card into your hand, and then play a card. The other option that you have is you may play 2 cards on your turn. Now, once you've played your 2 cards, you will then be able to capture a ghost based on where the trap is on the board. So you will capture whatever ghost the trap is in front of. So let's go through the turn just to give you guys an idea of what it would look like. Now there's a couple of cool things we can do, but we've got a great ghost with the Keymaster out. And we've got the perfect card for it. And now you have to play the card in order to capture a ghost. You do not have to play 2. So we're going to play Peter Venkman. I'll put him down here. So you move and I'll put these cards off to the side. We're going to move the trap 1 counterclockwise in front of the Keymaster, which means we will then acquire the Keymasters. We're not playing another card. So we've got him. He's ours. I'm just going to put him over here a little bit out of the way. I know the trap might go over him, but limited space. What then happens is the trap will move 1 in the direction of play. So it moves back over to voices. We'll shrink everything in a little bit, tighten it up, give us a better play space. Now this card has been played. It is then discarded, and we go to the refill where we will refill our hand. All right. Just like I'm telling you, this is the regular version. We will quickly take a look at the 2-player version afterwards. I just don't want to run like 3 hands of cards. So we're done with player 1. We're now going to take a look at player 2. Wow, we got some good stuff as well here. And we can actually make a pretty bold move thanks to the fact that we've got Winston Zettermore, who says move the ghost trap to any 5-value ghost in the circle, which will be the first card that we play. So we'll move the trap over to Vince. I know I'm going over the Keymaster. I'll just move him off camera right now. You guys saw that he was captured. It works better this way. So we're moving over the Vins. We've got 2 more cards. We can play Gozer, which would let us get the Possessed Police Horse as well, because it lets us capture a card that is adjacent to the Ghost Trap. So we're going to capture Vins, and we will also capture the Possessed Police Horse, which lets us once per round modify any of your actions by 1. So these are the 2 cards that were captured. I'm just going to put them similar to how I placed the Keymaster. We'll leave it on camera. And once again, these cards now get discarded. We played our 2 cards. We shall refill our hand by drawing 2 more cards. I'm just going to flip these upside down. We're going to shift everything over here. Now, once again, the trap moves along the direction of play. So it will move over by 1. Now, if the direction of play had been reversed, the trap would then move to Nunzio Scolari instead. But does not, moves to the PKE meter, and this is where we're at. So that is a quick example of the first turn of 1 round of Ghostbusters. Now you're going to be doing this 3 times. The game is played in 3 rounds. After 3 rounds, you're going to go into scoring. So what I'm going to do is, we've already spent 4 minutes showing you guys how to play 1 round. I'm going to cut right here. We're going to actually go through a full round of the game. Then I'll take a quick look at the 2-player variant. And after that, we will show you guys scoring. So keep it right here. We're going to catch these ghosts a lot faster than Venkman caught Slimer. And we're back with part 2 of round 1. We will take player 1's cards. And let's see what we got. Ooh, another Gozer. So we've got a lot of interesting stuff going on right now. And there's the PKE meter, which if we can get a jumpsuit will work out very well. And why don't we do that? Let's go for that. So very simple. We're going to play the Dr. Peter Venkman. Sorry, that slipped off camera a little bit there. We move the trap 1 card counterclockwise, which brings us to Nunzio Scolari. We can then play Gozer, which lets us capture an adjacent card. We capture these 2. They're going to go in the pile right there. I will then discard both of these cards and draw 2 more. We'll shrink everything down, make everything nice and a little more spaced out so you guys can see everything. We'll take player 1's cards, put them down, and I will go back and take a quick look at player 2 as we start their turn. Now we just have a lot of Peter Venkman cards, but don't forget we've got the Possessed Police Horse ability that can be used once per turn. Now what does this let us do? It says modify any of your action cards by 1. So maybe we want to just move 1. Maybe we want to be able to actually move a little further. But look, we don't have anything really good here. So this is a great example because ideally we want to get the jumpsuit off the board or figure out a way maybe to grab this giant penguin. Now don't forget we have to play a card to capture a ghost. We can't just discard 2 cards. If we decide to do that, that's fine, but you're going to lose a turn. So what is the least useful that we have? We don't really want to go clockwise. We really want to go counterclockwise. So we'll get rid of Ray Stands, throw them out. We're going to draw Janine. And this is perfect because it'll let us see the different ways that you can play the game. So this is great. We're going to play Janine. Janine now reverses the direction of play. And you move the Ghost Trap 1 card in the new direction, putting us on the PKE meter. Now we don't want to play anything else. We wanted to get that off the board to stop player 1 from scoring more points. Perfect. So call it quits there. We capture the jumpsuit And as the direction of play is now shifted, and let's me just put this down first. We'll discard the card, redraw a new card. Direction of play is shifted, so now the trap will adjust back and be on top of the voices. So this would be the second turn of the first round. And I want to do this in little chunks for those of you that don't want to watch the whole thing. So we're going to cut, and we're definitely going to get back here faster than the guy stopped the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Now we're back with part 3 of round 1. Let's take a look at what we got here. Now, we're just going to talk a little bit about what you should be looking at while you play the game. Now, we briefly went for some of the big cards, but don't forget you want to try to put sequences together. You know, you want to get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We didn't get any 5 cards out here this time. You also want to try to get as many sets as you can. So what we'll do is just, as we're finishing this up, I'm going to have player 1 chase down the sets. Now, we could get, you know, the 2 pluses or 2 squares, and we've got a couple different things that we can do. Now, if we move 2 cards to the ghostly hand, sorry, I'll move that out of the way, we'll be able to get the first square, and we've got a good card to line us up to get potentially the next one. So that's what we're going to do, just play Peter Venkman, continue moving counterclockwise, and we're just going to cap the ghastly hands. So this will be discarded. These will go face down. This will continue along the area of play. And we'll just shrink everything up here. So it's on Ivo Shando. And this was player 1's turn, so they captured the square. Now, move on to player 2. And we're left with 2 pluses. This is a good card we might want to save into the next round. Is there any way for us to get a plus? No, we can take a square. We can move 3 cards counterclockwise, which 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you know what? Best thing we can do here is get a giant penguin. That's what we'll do. So we'll play the 1 card. I'm just going to put these face down off camera temporarily. Move counterclockwise to the giant penguin. We shall secure that. Gives a nice new ability. And then we're going to slide back up to the voices. So right now we're just left with 4 cards. This gets discarded, and player 2 refills their hand. Now this moving so quickly, I'm just going to finish off play. I'm not going to cut. This is just going to be the end of it, and then we'll talk about the 2-player variant. Now, what do we got here? Oh, interesting stuff. Now, we really, 1, 2, 3. Now, we really want this, you know, the square. We don't really want anything else. And it's going to be a little tricky, but let's see what we get first. So we're going to play the Librarian, which is an interesting card. We capture the top card from the Ghost deck. So reach over to the Ghost deck. We're going to pull it. It is a plus, the Librarian. So we don't necessarily need to go for the squares anymore. We've got a reason to try to grab that plus sign as well. I'll just discard it to get it clear. 1, 2, and 3. We also already have a 2, so that would chain well together. So we'll continue moving counterclockwise with Dr. Peter Venkman as the card that I play. Move over 3, and then capture the Ghost Jogger. What's going to happen is this moves once again along the area of play, taking us back up to voices. We'll discard this, redraw 2 cards, so you can see what we got here. These 2 cards. And it goes back to player 2. Now player 2 wants, well, you could flip the direction of play. Don't know if that's what we want to do. Be nice probably to get that 4, as we do have a couple of 6s. And we have Peter Venkman that lets us move counterclockwise. So that'll be the play. Move, cap, Ivo Shandor. And then we'll draw the next card. So this once again moves back up atop of voices. Now I am doing the sequence quickly. As you can see, it's fairly straightforward. I mean, once you capture the ghost, you refill your hand. And when you discard, well, not discard, when you just clean up, you clean up. Very easy. So we're just about done here. We will take a look at the last hand, and we really just want to move one. So we could save this one for another game because moving to any one value is a big movement. Move the trap card 1 clockwise. So move it clockwise, and I'll just put it on top of this so you guys can see it. We want the Book of Stars because of the plus sign. So we will capture the Book of Stars. This thing ends up back here. Stands gets discarded. We draw another card, meaning it's going to end on player 2's turn. Now, what do you necessarily want to do? Well, you need to play a card to capture a ghost. So just play the Librarian, which is good to show you guys again. Capture the top card. Ooh, not bad. The Proton Pack, which will score very well for us. Capture the Proton Pack. We capture Voices. The Librarian goes discarded. We redraw, and then we're going to set up another 12 cards. So I'm just going to put these aside. Not going to deal them all out, but you're starting round 2. So you start a fresh round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're going to deal out until there are all 12. Trap once again starts up at the top, and then it's just going to be the next player's turn. So in a 2-player game, you know, it often the first player will go again. That's not necessarily the case in a more multiplayer game. It could end on, you know, player 4's turn, and then it'll be player 5. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up, and we'll explain the 2-player variant. So keep right here, and we'll be back way faster than the guys solved the mystery of what was going on with the Keymaster and Zool. Now we're going to look at the 2-player variant, and I really just uncluttered the play space because I'm just going to play all the cards for player 1, all the cards for player 2, and show you what the variant does. So we've restarted like it was a fresh game. It's a 2-player variant. So how does this work? Now, what will happen is, and this is actually kind of cool with everything that we got out here, because it'll show you how you want to think strategically. Now, during the 2-player variant, cards get discarded from play. Now, the best thing that we could do in this case would play Dr. Raymond Stands, and we're only going to play the 1 card. So this lets us move the Ghost Trap 1 clockwise. So if we move the Ghost Trap 1 clockwise, we then capture Zool. So I will put him stacked down here. It's a great move, but then you move the trap along the direction of play. You discard the card that's there, so it gets taken out of play. And then you move the trap 1 again, and that's the new starting position. So you are losing 2 cards every time. Now I'm just going to take these cards for player 1 and get them off the board. We're not going to be using them again. And the trap is now at the PKE meter. Now we've got Winston Zettermore, Janine Melnitz, and Raymond Stantz. I really didn't change anything. But as you can see, if you don't want him to necessarily get, you know, like the Proton Pack in this case, great move. You play Winston Zettermore, move to the 5, capture Gozer. Player 2 stays on pace with player 1. The trap will move to the Proton Pack, which will then be discarded out of play. You shrink everything up, and I'll put these down. And it moves once again along the direction of play to the PKE meter. Now, if the direction had been reversed, you would have moved it the other way. So in this scenario, let's say the direction was reversed. You move counterclockwise 1. You would capture this card. This would then move there. This would be discarded. And I'm going to just get this out of the way. The trap would then move to the movie theater ghost. And that's just a quick look at the 2-player variant. So we're going to move on to scoring, and then we'll get on to our review of the game. Now, we've got the scorecard right here, and we then have these ghosts that we've captured. Now, I just want to highlight that unless you're playing like a 5-player game, you probably would have captured more ghosts than this, but it's enough to prove my point and show you guys how you're going to score. So the first thing you're going to do is you add up all of the point values on the ghosts. Doesn't matter if they were slimed or not. And then if you're using the score sheet, you would mark it down as your base score. You then take a look and see who has the most of a specific set. So in this case, it's the plus. We'll say that this player had the most with these 2 cards, they would get a bonus extra 3 points. It goes same thing for the other different sets, the star, your wavy lines, and the cube. Next, you take a look at what you score for a sequence. Now, he only has the 1, but he does have 4, 5, 6, 7, which is a 4-card sequence. And I'll just bring this up here so you guys can see it a little bit better. It tells you what you score. So 1, 2, 4, 7, and 10 points. And then it tells you what it is. So it's for 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. As this was 4 cards in a row, it would then be the 2 points extra that you then score. You then have the jumpsuit and the PKE meter. While these don't score very much individually, together they are going to give you a very nice 6 points that you can mark down here in your gear. And then finally, you have to look at the slime. Now, the player with the most slime, so someone has to have more than you for it to be negative, but in this case, let's say you're the only player with 2 cards that have been slimed, you would get negative 3 points, giving you your totals down here. So you can use the scorecard if you want. I mean, they give you a nice amount of them, but I often like protecting these, especially if someone might be drinking on the table. So it is very easy to use and easy to score. It's quite clearly written in the rule book. And with that being said, we're going to move on to our review of the game. So Ghostbusters, the card game. What did you think of the game?
I thought it's pretty cool. You definitely got the characters. I was going to say start with Slimer. Slimer's in it. All the Ghostbusters are there. It's really thematic, I think, at least for the first movie with the Keymaster and the librarian.
Well, they have Vigo as well, and then some of the people that they referenced in the movies,
the like Marshmallow Man
and Ivor Shando, I believe, who was the guy that wrote the very creepy book that caused a whole lot of problems.
So I think that's pretty cool, and I think if you like it, it's nice fun. It's definitely not scary. I think any age kids who's seeing the cards won't be scared by it. So what I liked about the game is it's fun, it's colorful, it's an easy game. It doesn't require a lot of strategy or a lot of thinking. So there are some days I get home from work and I don't want a big complex game. I just want to have a little bit of fun and not sit in front of the TV rotting my brain. So for that, I thought it was great. On the flip side to that, it's exactly that. It's not necessarily a big, huge strategy game that we like to play sometimes. So this is a light game that's fun. I think non-gamers would enjoy it. So people who, I think it's very easy to understand.
No, this is definitely a family game. This is the kind of game that you break out at Christmas. As Julie said earlier on, this is for 8 and above. You can easily play this with even players that are younger, actually. I don't see why you couldn't play this with a 6-year-old. Now, you might always be kicking their butts, but they're going to be able to play this game. Now, Julie's right. There isn't really that much deep strategy, and it really depends on luck. One of the things that I do want to say that I find to be a negative about this game is that with the 2-player variant, when you are discarding cards, it is incredibly swingy with cards like the Librarian and Gozer. Like, I basically got both of those when we were playing, and Julie was like, wow, I'm just like halfway through turn 2, and you probably won the game already.
Yeah. So for that, I think we played as 2 players, both the 2-player variant and without it, and I preferred it without. I think it's a little bit more even. It takes a little bit longer, but not like that much longer. The 2-player variant, I really think it's a luck of the draw, right? If the cards are evenly distributed, it might be a little bit better, but in this case,
well, you never know, because there's the discard mechanic as well. Yeah. So if you're discarding cards, even if they're evenly spaced out, it's going to be random. So there is definitely a lot more of a random element using the 2-player variant. Now, I played the game with 5 players, and it was a good time. We had a fair bit of fun. Now, those players that I play with are more serious gamers, and they tend to prefer Guillotine, and this game is very similar to Guillotine, according to them. I've not played it. I don't want to make the commentary, but I felt that it was something pertinent to bring up in the review that, there's what they said is that this game is a little lighter, a lot less of those take that mechanics, but there definitely still is some strategy. If you chain that card, get to the right spot, and then, happen to use Gozer and you pick up 2 5s, in one turn. That's a big turn. So there's some very light strategy elements, but no real in your face trying to take out the other players that you'd find in other games like the aforementioned Guillotine.
I actually find that in the 2-player version, there's a little bit more in your face because you can force discard something that somebody else might be looking for, which you don't have when you don't have the 2-player variant.
Yeah, no, because there's so many other players that you figure someone else is probably going to take it anyway. So your strategy when you're playing with about, 3, 4, or 5 players, you're planning turns ahead. You're like, where is this going to end up? What are my 2 to 3 options? Whereas in the 2-player version, you kind of got like your one option that you're going for. And someone could, well, it's always the best option because you're going next. And players can definitely take that away from you.
Yep.
I think we've talked enough about this game. This is a light game. So why don't you give the game your score?
I'm going to give it a 7.5 for what it is. I really enjoyed it and I'll play it again. I think I wouldn't play it just the 2 of us. Though I probably wouldn't mind one night that you're
in the mood for just a quick little game. Maybe I did something that made her a little mad and she thinks she can beat me. That's what she'll do. She'll take this out.
So for the fact that it's a fun family game that's quick, that's I liked it. I enjoyed it, and I would not hesitate to pull it out and play with some friends.
No, and this hits your $20 USD price point about, depending on where you purchase it from. It's got a lot of value if you also like the Ghostbusters license, because they use the license very well for a very simple game. There is a lot of flavor, a lot of elements from the 2 movies, and I did really enjoy it. Also, they make the characters very thematic, like, Egon does different things, Winston does different things, and then also same with, Venkman and Ray. Yes, Venkman and Ray really move stuff around, while the other characters have more like special abilities like jumping between cards, which is fairly cool. So I'm also going to give this game a 7. I don't really want to give it a 7.5 because I felt that the 2-player variant with just that little bit of randomness, and me, randomness bugs me a little bit more than it bugs Julie. That makes it just, a really solid game. Now, this isn't a game that I'm going to tell everyone to put on their shelves. What I can say is if you have kids that like Ghostbusters, if you grow up liking Ghostbusters and you want something to play with the family and take out at Christmas time,
I also think if you have a couple kids that you'd like them to play together and you don't want them to be really in your face type of play, this is fun for them too. I think you can let them play and it's not like take that, or I'm not going to sell you this because I'm going to see who can survive the longest Monopoly style, right?
Yep. No, so it's got a lot of value. It's something that we definitely recommend. The reason why we're talking a lot about Christmas time is because this game is scheduled to be released to the masses in December. So, Ghostbusters fans, put it on your radar. And with that being said, take a look at some videos popping up above our heads. Please like, comment, subscribe, check out our social media feeds. We will be doing more on Instagram. The last couple of videos we've done, I just haven't really wanted to put pictures of cards out, but we got some bigger games, as you can see behind us, and we can get some more artistic shots. She's a really good photographer, if you didn't know. Well, we'll get you guys some good stuff out there. And so what are we going to do, Julie?
We're going to grab our buddy. You're a little far. Grab our drinks.
Yep.
You take it out.
And we're going to keep playing games.
Yep.
So it's fairly balanced. It was, 1-1 or so the times that we played?
I beat you really badly. You beat me really badly. Pretty even.
Yeah, well, just, it's the luck of the cards. If I got Slimer that first game, it would have been a lot closer. You still would have won, but it would only been by like 1 point. 1 point.